Tom Cruise just confessed the unthinkable. There was one woman he calls the love of his life. And no, it's not who you think. Not Nicole, not Katie, not even Penelope. This bombshell has been buried for decades, and when you find out who it is, your jaw will hit the floor. So what really happened behind closed doors? And why did he keep her a secret all these years? Stick around. This story is about to change everything you thought you knew about Hollywood's most elusive heartthrob. Tom Cruise, born July 3, 1962 in Syracuse, New York, came into the world as Thomas Cruise Mapother IV. His childhood was nothing short of a whirlwind. One of those chaotic moves brought his family to Ottawa in 1971. 10 years old, unfamiliar city, unfamiliar world, but that's where he stepped onto a stage for the very first time. A small school play. Just a kid with nerves and lines to memorize. But something clicked. A spark. Still, stability was fleeting. His mother left his father and brought the family back to the U.S. And Tom? He drifted again. School to school. Hope to hope. Teachers thought he was lazy. He wasn't. He was simply wired differently, lost in a system that didn't speak his language. At 14, he thought he'd found a path. He entered a Catholic seminary in Cincinnati, dreaming of priesthood. That too vanished. Some say it was another move. Others whisper about an incident with liquor. Whatever the truth, one dream faded, and another silently formed. After being cut from the high school football team, caught drinking beer, he auditioned for a school play. Guys and Dolls. That one moment changed everything. When the lights hit his face and the audience responded, he wasn't pretending anymore. He had found something real. By 1980, just out of high school, Tom took a leap that only the brave or desperate take. He moved to New York City with barely $500 to his name. Waiting tables by day, auditioning by night. He dropped the long name, sharpened the edge, Tom Cruise. He trained at the neighborhood playhouse and poured everything into becoming something more. His first film, Endless Love in 1981, offered only a few lines. But it was enough to land taps. He was supposed to be in the background, just a face. But his presence changed the room. The director rewrote scenes. His role expanded. He was undeniable. Then came The Outsiders in 1983. Not a lead, but standing shoulder to shoulder with future legends. But it was risky business that turned a promising name into a household one. The film was edgy, outrageous, unforgettable. With just $6.2 million, it pulled in $63.5 million and immortalized a single scene. Cruise sliding in socks and underwear to Bob Seger's old-time rock and roll. That wasn't just a scene. It was a cultural imprint. The world had found its star. But what separated him from the rest wasn't charm. It was obsession. Cruise didn't want stunt doubles. He insisted on doing it all. On Taps, he marched with real guns. On The Outsiders, he stayed in character between takes. He memorized scripts in color-coded patterns, moved while reciting lines, used audiobooks. Anything to overcome his deep struggle with dyslexia. What once held him back became the tool that sharpened him. In 1984, he faced a fork in the road. He turned down $2 million to star in Footloose. Instead, he chose Legend, a risky fantasy that flopped. Critics were brutal, but Cruise didn't blink. He was building something greater than momentary fame. And then, 1986 changed everything. Top Gun, Maverick, a film that made $176 million, beat out almost everything that year except Crocodile Dundee, and turned Cruise into the embodiment of American cool. His flight jacket, aviators, that cocky grin, it became a generation's identity. And it did more than sell tickets. It made people want to enlist. The Navy saw a spike in recruitment. That's the power Cruise had. He didn't just act, he influenced. And then came Rain Man in 1988, a quieter role, one where he stepped back to let Dustin Hoffman shine. But look closely. Cruz grounded the film. The emotional pulse of the story beat through him. When he hurled underwear out of a car, when he flinched inside a phone booth, when he read that will, he made those moments land. Hoffman won the Oscar, but Cruz was the film's foundation. In 1989, he broke the mold again. Born on the 4th of July wasn't a glossy blockbuster. It was raw. It was real. He portrayed Ron Kovich, a Marine-turned-anti-war activist, in a role that forced Cruz to trade charm for pain. He trained in a wheelchair, transformed his body, and bared everything on screen. The film earned $162 million, a Golden Globe, and his first Oscar nomination. Audiences stopped calling him a movie star. They started calling him a force. On May 9, 1987, he married actress Mimi Rogers. She wasn't just his partner, she was his gateway into a new world. Scientology wasn't a whisper in her life. It was a pillar. Her father had been involved since the 1950s. She was an auditor, a key figure in the church. Though their marriage ended in 1990, something stayed: his faith. It wasn't until 1992, in a Barbara Walters interview, that he publicly confirmed his involvement. But by then, he was already immersed. One of the most personal reasons Cruz leaned into Scientology was his lifelong struggle with dyslexia. Reading terrified him. He'd graduate high school still unable to process words like others. But through Scientology's learning method, he found clarity. "No one gave me a solution," he said. "But Hubbard's method did. I learned to read. And that, more than anything, changed everything." By 2016, while promoting Jack Reacher 2, he called Scientology a beautiful religion. He wasn't just a believer, he was an advocate. And as the years rolled on, the connection between Cruz and Scientology's leader David Miscavige only grew. Their friendship started in the late 80s, filled with moments so surreal they felt cinematic. Like the time the church threw Cruz a welcome party, transforming a Florida pool into a floating yacht. In that world of constructed perfection, one truth remained hidden until now: who held his heart through it all. They say the higher you climb, the thinner the air. And for Tom Cruise, that air was beginning to choke. Behind all the dazzling premieres, box office records, and heart-pounding stunts was a world few dared to step into. One of whispers, promises, and secrets that didn't belong in a script. It was late '99, and tensions inside Scientology had reached a boiling point. By the early 2000s, Cruz had gone from believer to ambassador. This wasn't just personal, it was a mission. He pushed for global recognition of Scientology as a legitimate religion. In Europe, his efforts were bold. Too bold. In 2005, word leaked that Cruz had contacted French government officials, including then-Interior Minister Nicolas Sarkozy. But instead of building bridges, it burned them. France branded him a militant advocate, and doors slammed shut. Still, Tom didn't stop. Just after 9/11, he helped launch Downtown Medical, a program meant to aid first responders with detox treatments. Critics were vocal. It wasn't rooted in proven science. But the church rewarded his loyalty. In 2004, Miscavige handed Cruz the Scientology Freedom Medal of Valor. To them, he wasn't just a movie star. He was a warrior. Back in the early 90s, on the set of Days of Thunder, Cruz had met Nicole Kidman. He was 28. She was 23. Their romance was lightning fast. Married on Christmas Eve in snowy Telluride, Colorado. Nicole would later reflect, "I was so young. I look back now and wonder, what was I thinking?" But at the time, they were all in. Nicole longed for children. It was a dream that quickly turned painful. She suffered a devastating pregnancy complication, one that would haunt them both. That loss shifted everything. In 1992, they adopted their daughter Isabella. 3 years later, Connor joined their family. They became a moving portrait of Hollywood royalty, kids in tow, set to set, hand in hand. In public, it looked flawless, but behind the scenes, shadows lingered. They teamed up on Far and Away, an Irish immigrant love story that grossed over $137 million. 7 years later, things turned more intense. Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's psychological labyrinth, would stretch them emotionally and physically. Filming took 2 years, not 6 months. They lived in England, completely isolated. Kubrick blurred fiction and reality, pulling from their real relationship to fuel the narrative. Nicole would later reveal they raced go-karts at 3 a.m. just to release tension. The film wrapped just months before Kubrick's death. It was his final film, and possibly the final straw for them. Even with all their love, their family never felt whole. Nicole once admitted, "That early loss was incredibly traumatic. Adoption gave them purpose, but their dream remained haunted." Then in 2001, everything unraveled. Out of nowhere, Tom filed for divorce. Nicole was blindsided. Rumors swirled she was pregnant again, but soon after came heartbreak. She miscarried. In just 6 months, the divorce was finalized. By 2012, insiders claimed Isabella and Connor were closer to Tom's new partner, Katie Holmes. Isabella would later say, "I love my mom. She's great. We talk sometimes." But the closeness was gone. The dream Nicole once imagined had quietly slipped away. Through all of this, she channeled her pain into art. While filming The Hours, she was emotionally raw, wide open. The role would earn her an Oscar, but the award came with quiet tears backstage. Years later, she reflected, "I think I became more guarded, more careful, but I try to stay open." That vulnerability became her strength. Meanwhile, Cruz's star only burned brighter. In A Few Good Men, he stood toe-to-toe with Jack Nicholson and didn't blink. The courtroom showdown became legendary. The movie raked in $243 million and marked a career-defining shift. Tom wasn't just a leading man, he was a force. Then came Interview with the Vampire. Author Anne Rice hated the casting at first, said he was all wrong. But Cruz proved her wrong so powerfully, she bought a full-page apology ad. The film soared. Tom had officially gone where few would dare, into the dark, the surreal, the unexpected. By 1996, he was producing Mission Impossible, his movie, his vision. The stunts were real, the risk was real, and the reward was massive. $457 million in returns. That same year, he flipped genres and gave us Jerry Maguire. No action, just heart. "Show me the money" became more than a catchphrase. It became a cultural echo. The film earned him another Oscar nomination, but he wasn't done surprising us. In Magnolia, he played Frank T.J. Mackey, a firestorm of emotion and ego. With just 20 minutes of screen time, he shattered expectations. He won a Golden Globe, and again silenced critics. Around that time, life handed him another twist. On the set of Vanilla Sky, he met Penélope Cruz. Their chemistry was undeniable. They waited until his divorce was final. But soon, the world saw them everywhere. And just like that, a new chapter began. He gave everything: lavish meals, quiet moments, thoughtful gestures. There were even whispers of a proposal. But no matter how hard he tried, something stayed off balance. Tom Cruise just couldn't bridge the growing silence with his children. Nicole Kidman's name still floated in every conversation. Tensions thickened. The illusion cracked. In 2004, they officially split. Publicly, it was chalked up to conflicting film shoots. Privately, whispers pointed to something more controlling: Scientology's heavy hand. Then, the narrative twisted. According to ex-Scientologists, what came next wasn't a simple quest for romance. It was a calculated operation. Church insiders revealed that women were quietly vetted. Enter Nazanin Boniadi, bright, talented, and deeply loyal to the church, yet still not enough. She was asked to change nearly everything: her appearance, her lifestyle, her very way of thinking. She was told to study Cruz's preferences. When she once stumbled during a rapid-fire exchange with a church elder, Cruz's response was volcanic. He shouted. He pounded the table. Within days, it was over. No warning, no closure. Boniadi was dismissed. The breakup wasn't just romantic, it was institutional. She left the church and started over as an actress. They've both remained silent, but those who witnessed it haven't. Then came Katie Holmes. In 2005, Cruz stepped into the public with her, barely a month after Holmes ended her last relationship. She was 26. He was 42. The tabloids couldn't get enough. The headlines screamed "Tomcat," but insiders murmured about control, fast-tracked romance, and ever-present Scientology escorts. Holmes began to appear distant, dimmed, as though the bright-eyed Dawson's Creek star had been slowly pulled under. But Cruz didn't stay down for long. In 2008, he shocked everyone with a bold, self-deprecating turn in Tropic Thunder. The fat suit, bald cap, and profane swagger of Les Grossman showed Cruz could laugh at himself. It worked. Audiences warmed. The industry took notice. Then he doubled down with Mission Impossible. Ghost Protocol, a franchise reboot that put stunt work front and center. Climbing the Burj Khalifa in high winds? That wasn't CGI. It was Cruz himself, dangling at 2,722 feet. The risk was so extreme, insurance companies refused to back it. A special $50 million policy had to be created. He didn't stop there. For Rogue Nation, he strapped himself to the side of a plane during takeoff. At 52, no stunt double. Studios balked, but audiences applauded. His legacy was changing. He wasn't just a movie star, he was becoming an old-school action icon in a world of green screens and edits. Even injury couldn't stop him. While filming Fallout in 2017, he shattered his ankle leaping across rooftops. He finished the take before collapsing. Production shut down for weeks, costing an extra $80 million. But Cruz bounced back faster than doctors expected. Now, in 2025, new rumors are swirling. Cruz, now 62, has been spotted more than once with Ana de Armas. It began with a Valentine's dinner in London. Then she was seen boarding his private helicopter. Later, they were photographed slipping out of Beckham's birthday bash at 3 a.m. Are they friends? Maybe, but the pictures hint at something deeper. Both are single, both intensely private. His story isn't just about fame, it's about calculated risk. Financially, Cruz teaches us something crucial. Brand is everything. He's built his empire on consistency, spectacle, and reinvention. He doesn't chase trends, he defines them. And while personal ties may have fractured, his grip on Hollywood has only tightened. Because in the end, Tom Cruise isn't just a star. He's an institution. And somehow, even in the face of scandal, heartbreak, and a changing world, he's still flying at full throttle. And that's the wild truth behind Tom Cruise's secret love story. Hollywood's best-kept romantic twist. Hit like, drop your thoughts below, and subscribe for more untold celebrity confessions. Because in Cruise's world, the mission is always emotional.